if you stay in the pocket, meaning stay in that driver's seat, do not change course, and you show up with intent every day to get better and learn from your mistakes, at some point you're going to figure it out and you will be successful long term. But it could take years. It could take over 5 years.
Be the change you want to see. Make a difference by giving your money a purpose, a mission to do good. Welcome to Money with Mission, where we show you how to create passive income so that you have options for how to work and how to live your life while leaving a legacy of positive social impact.
Hey, you guys. Welcome back to Money with Mission. Today, I'm really excited. I have Connor Steinbrook with me. And Connor's pathway to real estate was very different than most of the people that we know. So I'm going to jump right into it, and he's going to tell us his story. I'm pretty excited. Welcome, Connor. Thanks so much for coming on.
Yeah, of course. I'm excited. Thank you for having me on the show.
Yeah, Connor and I, just so you guys know, we have green room and we talk in the background. We've talked for a little bit here. So I'm really interested for him to tell a story. I'm going to start probably kind of in the middle with Connor was an online poker player for a period of time. I'm going to back up from that. So we're going to get there. And then how did you get to that, to become an online poker player? That just seems like such a, how did you do that story?
Yeah, I mean, so I was always competitive. Growing up in school, I was like one of those kids that's playing baseball, football, basketball, soccer. So I was always doing some type of competition. And then, as you get older, obviously you go into, high school and college, and then girls came in the picture and friends and things like that. And so, and also as you get past like high school, like sports kind of go away unless you're a collegiate athlete, which is tough to play football in college and things like that. So I went out, I lived in Dallas, Plano, Texas. I went off to the University of Oklahoma, Boomer Sooners in Oklahoma.
I'm in Oklahoma. Okay.
And I was staying in the dorm, and it just kind of organically happened. It was never really meant to be. My hobby kind of became my profession, because what happened was I was sitting in my dorm room and I was with some friends. We were watching the World Series of Poker on TV that happens every summer.
Yeah.
And it was the year that Chris Moneymaker won. So some of you guys know the story. Chris Moneymaker was like an accountant out of Tennessee or something. And he satellited into the tournament, which means he played a smaller tournament with a buy-in. I think it was like $40, which won a bigger seat into a bigger tournament that was playing for big cash prizes. And it was the big main event. And he beat thousands of top poker players and won millions of dollars. And at this moment caused everybody's head to explode. And they said, I can get $40 from my parents, or I have $40. And it created kind of like this online boom, because everybody could sit there and play on the internet. And also what the internet did was it created the ability to play for less amounts of money. So if you go to like a casino, pretty much the lowest stakes you can buy in is like a 1-2 no limit hold'em game. Whereas on the internet, which is $1 and $2 blinds, on the internet, you could buy in for like 10 and 20 cent blinds. So you could start buying it at lower amounts and getting a lot of hand volume and hand repetition, so you could learn the game real well without having to take a high risk. So basically what happened was a big online poker boom happened. I started playing like $5 and $10 tournaments and small amounts of money, penny tables and things like that.
What year?
Yeah, this would be, I guess, 2003 when I went off to college. So it was like the summer between high school and college is when I really started playing. And it was like freshman year of college, I really got into it. And then I just started winning and started moving up the ranks and getting better and better. And before I knew it, I wanted to drop out to play poker professionally. I was in between my sophomore and junior year, and it made sense to do so. I was making way more money playing poker than I would with a 9-to-5 job. And then I just decided, I thought about it. I got great parents, very grateful for what they've done. So I decided to finish out college out of respect for my parents, really. Not so much for me at the time. And I already played so much, ran so much of the race. It was like kind of finish it out and get it done. And then I graduated, I got my degree. And then for like 3 or 4 years, I played poker professionally. And then what happened was on April 15th, 2011, this is when the day that changed my life happened forever, because there was what's called Black Friday in the poker world. The U.S. Department of Justice had came in and seized these big poker sites, Full Tilt Poker, Poker Stars, and they all got shut down overnight. Now, there's a lot of controversy over what happened. Ultimately, when governments can't regulate or get their hands in something, they either figure out how to get their fingers in the mix or deregulate them pretty much. And so these websites they were hosted through what's called like the Alderney Gaming Commission, I think it was, and they were offshore on islands. And there was a bunch of like money laundering and weird stuff going on from what we understand. But anyways, they got the websites got shut down. But that didn't mean that like myself and my friends and everybody that was making honest living on these sites was doing anything. But overnight, everything disappeared. My identity, which I spent 10 years building, was surrounded by the poker world. All my friends that were in the poker world and their identities And it was literally just overnight, everything disappeared. And it was a very tough time for me. And I made some bad decisions.
Hold on. Let's stop for a sec. I think there's things that I have questions. Okay. So this went on from 2003-ish to 2011, where this was your life, online poker. Yes, you were in college, but I can imagine you're sitting in a class thinking, I got to get back to a game so I can do what I'm doing. And you just mentioned that you lost friends, your full identity. So poker was your life, basically. That was your job, your life, everything you did. How many hours a day would you spend playing poker online?
A lot.
Okay.
I'd play like 3 or 4 days a week, but they would be like long sessions, like 12 to 16 hours at a time.
Okay.
Because like, it's kind of like, it's hard to explain. You have to kind of get ramped up and be in that, like, so like think about like a football game on Sunday. You're going out there, you're stretching, you're getting your pads on, you get in the game ramped up. Like when you're on the field, it's easier to play like a fifth, sixth quarter than it is to like come back tomorrow and make it another Sunday. So like normally when I played long, aggressive hours. Also, I didn't like to book losses. And so if I got stuck, I was young and still had energy. I'd sometimes play like 36, 48 hours in a row, which was stupid. I don't advise doing this. But I played a lot of hours in a very short time period, but I also changed time around a little bit because online poker is not one table. You can play multiple tables.
Okay.
So if you took a table like at a casino, at a brick and mortar, like you go to your local casino, you may play 200 hands in 8 hours or so. That's kind of what I figured out. If they're dealing the cards, manually moving the chips around. Whereas on the internet, one table to one table, you may play 15 to 20x as many hands per hour because of the efficiency and the speed of the computer systems. So the cards are dealt immediately. There's no dealer just counting out chips. So there's not a lot of wasted time. So what that means is for every effort over here on one table live, you're getting 15x, which is like 1 year of live poker is 15 years of a learning curve on the internet. Now, taking into consideration, I was what was called a multi-tabler. A lot of people did what's called multi-tabling. I was playing 16 tables on a 4x4 grid. So here I am playing 16 tables at a time, where I'm getting 15 to 20 times the amount of hands as I could at a single table. And this is why you saw a lot of young kids really change or really accelerate and fade that learning curve really quickly, because you could play so many hands so fast. You could actually learn the game a lot better because you could identify betting patterns and betting tells because you're seeing so much data so fast. And so that's really kind of why meaning like I save time. So even though I'm playing a lot of actual like hours, I'm also playing hours on multiple tables at a time, which is just, shortening the time range of how fast you can build your skill sets.
Got it.
So I realized that in 1 year, I was playing the equivalent to 400 years of what a previous professional poker player had to do if they were a poker player playing live poker. And this is why the online poker boom just completely revolutionized the poker world and just changed everything. But
there's not many things you can do in life. Yeah, there's not many things you can do in life and decrease the learning curve fast like that. I mean, think about being a surgeon. I can't operate on 15 people at one time and see all the different that are going on. Got it. So you can lose a lot of money. You can make a lot of money. At your peak, if you don't mind telling, when everything got shut down, you went from blank to zero.
Yeah. Well,
you can just give, I had 6-figure, 7, if you want to do that, whatever, however you want to go.
Yeah. So like the losses were like my future opportunity cost losses were millions of dollars for sure. So I had a good life going, but the future life that I could have, so imagine you're making like right now, like $500,000 a year or something like that. And you had a few $100,000 in the bank account. And you just started getting to where you're making good money. Well, if you're going to make $500,000 a year for 10 years, your future expectation is $5 million. But if you're having a growth rate, it can be $5 to $10 to $15 million. So what really was the big blow was that we'd all spent 5-10 years building a specific skill set around a specific game, and our future income streams were taken away once. Even like you talked about being a doctor. Imagine you spent 5, 7, 8 years and you just got to where you really knew you were like an elite doctor. Like you knew that you were one of the best doctors in the world and you really could help people now. And all of a sudden all the doctors in your industry had to turn their licenses in and there's no more industry. And so it's like you built this and so long term, it cost me millions of dollars in opportunity cost for sure. Now I didn't have any money on the site, thankfully for me at the time, because it's kind of weird if you never play poker. Online poker was still kind of wild, wild west days, even though we were making a living on it. None of us really wanted to keep the bulk of our bankroll on it. So our bankroll is kind of like what poker players call how much their net worth is essentially.
Okay.
And so I try to never keep more than like 100 grand on the websites. And so sometimes you do what's called busting your account, meaning you lose and you go to zero.
Yeah.
So instead of having like 500K on your account, that's a big risk. You keep like 100, and let's say you lose it, you just put 100,000 back on the site. So I was actually in where I was in a bust out window, but a lot of poker players had some of them had 100% of their bankroll on these websites. They may have had like 200 grand and had all 200 grand on there, but maybe 5 grand their personal bank account. And it got froze and held. Now, a lot of these players got their money back later. The only thing that I had on there was a bunch of what's called like bonus points I had acquired because I played a lot of high levels, kind of think about credit card points that build up. But I had tens of thousands of dollars worth of those types of points built up.
Okay.
But I was at a weird window where I just busted my account. And so I didn't have a lot of money tied up on there. But so I lost the bonus points. I lost my future income stream. I lost my identity. I lost all my friends. And it was just kind of crazy time period.
Yeah.
But,
okay. So now we're down, low self-esteem. My friends that I had thought were going to be forever, this thing that I thought was going to be forever is now gone. And you did get your degree in college. What happened? Where did you go at that point?
Yes. So I had a business marketing degree. And what happened was I live in Dallas, Texas for about an hour away from the border of Oklahoma and Texas. And there's a big casino up there called WinStar and another one called Choctaw. So I kind of tried to play live poker during this window. I'd go up there and I'd drive up in the morning, play all day, stay at night, play all day, stay at night, and play all day and come back. And I went on like this 2-night, 3-day pattern while I was trying to figure out, was online poker coming back? So there's still a lot of, at this time, unknowns. Is this even coming back? And so I did that for like 1.5 years, 2 years. And along the way, I realized I can't make it playing live poker like I was on the internet. It's too different. There's not enough money involved and it's just not going to work out the way I'm wanting to do it. So I decided to get my insurance license along the way. And as I had my insurance license, I was still playing poker live at casinos. I was playing a lot of high net worth individuals that were wealthy people.
Yeah.
Had disposable income where they had made big money.
Yeah.
And now they come to the casino and lose it. And I'm watching people lose like 10, 20 grand with a smile on their face. And I'm like, how do you have the time to lose this and can lose that type of money? And you don't want to jump off a bridge, look on your face like poker players have when they lose money.
Yeah.
And I started finding out that they were all business owners or entrepreneurs. Most were in real estate. Most owned commercial real estate, storage units. They ran big real estate teams. And so that kind of planted that seed in my mind. And then around this time, I'd come across personal education, self-development. It was a very dark time in my life. And I was trying to figure out how to, find a new life and find a new path because I'd finally admitted poker was not going to be my lifelong journey anymore. And that's when I started reading all these books and I started coming across, terms like residual income and passive income. And I was like, this is completely different than sitting there playing poker all day on my own time, energy, and effort and stress. So I read Rich Dad Poor Dad and it hit hard for me. And I decided I wanted to build a rental portfolio and I wanted to build passive income using rental properties. And so I jumped into the real estate space and failed miserably in the beginning. It wasn't going well. And that's when I decided to put up everything else that I had left to my name and to go into debt to buy like one of these high-end Stage Guru training courses because I didn't know any better. And they kind of took advantage of me. And I did everything they told me to do. And before I knew it, I was almost 6 figures in debt. And so what was going on was, and this is for all you young entrepreneurs, I had run out of money, but I had time and I had work ethic and I had the ability to still believe in myself and not quit. And so what I was doing was I ran out of money, which is actually why I started making money. Because when I had money, I made stupid decisions. Now I had to be smart. So I was teaching myself how to build websites on the internet. I was optimizing websites and building WordPress websites by watching YouTube videos. So I was watching a free YouTube platform, free YouTube channels, teaching myself how to optimize videos. And I was building my YouTube channels along the side and I was linking those websites to my websites. I was linking those YouTube channels to my main websites and it drove them up to rank number 1 for some of the biggest search keywords in North Texas for the investment space, like we buy houses, sell my house, Dallas, some of the biggest keywords. And I was able to start generating leads on the internet that way.
You had already in your mind, so you knew this is a thing that sometimes when you know something, you just can't unknow it. I know that real estate investing and real estate is going to be the way I'm going to build my wealth. Then you had asked somebody, you paid somebody to help you and that blew up. But you still know, you can't unknow the fact that real estate is the way to build my wealth. I just have to figure out the way to do that in a different way now that I have no money. Is that how you got there?
Yes. And that's good to bring up and kind of like identify that. I knew that people made it in real estate over time. So I knew, so I'm looking around. This is important. This is kind of like what made me keep going, because a lot of people quit in business, but I've seen a lot of successful people in real estate, which makes me know the vehicle's strong, meaning there's a lot of people that get to the end game or drive that vehicle to the later stages of their life in the real estate industry, and they become successful in it. And then talking to a lot of these people over years, I realize I'm no different than this guy or no different than her. And they seem, they're smart and they're intelligent, but they're not more intelligent than I am, and they're not working harder than I am. So this means that the average person can do this. And also, like, what you realize in real estate is a lot of people that did not come from, trust fund babies and things like that, like people that built it from the ground floor. You met a lot of people that were like, I was homeless, or like I grew up with a single parent or something like that.
Just got out of prison, all those things.
Real estate. Yeah. For sure. And so what I realized was a couple of realizations. If other people can do it, I can do it. Meaning all these people, they're 10, 20 years older than me. They had to go from where I was at some point to where they were at. And there was a journey that if I can figure out what information they acquired, and I also knew that if I try things and fail, I'll get better. So I just knew that real estate, if I stuck with it long term, eventually I would figure it out. But I knew there's going to be very tough along the way, and I'd want to quit many times, but I had to just have a start to finish mindset, meaning no matter what, I'm never going to stop on this until I figure it out. And that's kind of what happened, even though the path went down really far down first before it came back up. And it was really like 4 years. So basically from when I started my real estate business, I worked 1,100 days straight, not a single day off, to break even, to get back to even. Then I found out a partner stole $30,000 from me, and I went right back into debt. And before I even got to where I was like profitable, it was over 4 years, I think it was, before I even net a dollar. And this is what I want young entrepreneurs to understand, because now I make millions of dollars. I had to work that 4-year window of my life, and it was brutal, getting up every day knowing I'm not making money, struggling with holding the belief system in my mind that it's going to work out someday. And that's what makes people quit, is that they wake up every day and they don't see it happening, and they can't see it happening. And they say, I've already spent so much money, so much time, so much effort. The price is too high to pay. Let me retract and quit and go try a different vehicle. Now let's go into the insurance space. Let me go start a restaurant or something like this. But whatever vehicle you guys find, if it has a big upside long term, people for decades have been hitting that big upside, driving that vehicle for a long time. If you stay in the pocket, meaning stay in that driver's seat, do not change course, and you show up with intent every day to get better and learn from your mistakes, at some point you're going to figure it out and you will be successful long term. But it could take years. It could take over 5 years, guys.
I'd say that for 100% for entrepreneurs, and even for investors. If you're a passive investor, it doesn't always hit the first time. And when you hit the first time, the worst thing is that you think you know what you're doing. Think about all the Wall Street traders and all those people who really do well right away. And then something bad happens and you realize what you didn't know. So it unfortunately takes some of those failures. And here's one thing one of my mentors says: you don't have to make all the mistakes yourself. You can learn from somebody else's mistakes. And that's the cheaper way to do it, because mistakes tend to cost a lot of money. I think you got $100,000 you can count, $30,000. I'm sure there's way more in there of mistakes. And it's those really expensive ones, those ones that really, really hurt, that teach you the most. So 100% entrepreneurs, passive investors, everybody, once you know something, you know it, and you just got to stick with it so that you can get the benefits of that thing. So I really appreciate you saying that.
Yeah, I'm glad you guys brought that up, because I've consulted a lot of people over the years, and what she's talking about with quick success is this is a negative. I agree with what you're saying there. Like, I've seen a lot of people actually, I used to call it a long time. I used to call it like the kiss of death, meaning if you come into like a new industry. So like I had a buddy that his first 2 deals, he made like $150K on 2 investment deals, like just to start. And I mean, think about it, like I've rarely made $150K on 2 deals ever. So he had a really good start off. Now, what that does is it pollutes the mind and sours the mind that it's going to be that easy going forward. So what my start was, I didn't close a deal for 6 months and it got $100,000 in debt. So one is a quick start, one is a struggle start. I see people long-term that had an immense struggle. If they fight through it and pursue through it and get to the success side of their business, way more successful long-term than people that sometimes get in and have a quick initiate. Sometimes they caught a lucky break or something, because then they get entitled to the success, and then they get entitled to those big deals, and it can really hurt them long-term. So just if you're struggling when you're starting a business, good.
It's not a bad thing.
It'll teach you a lot.
And I'm gonna, because I was the other person. We did well when we first got into real estate, and then 2008, 2009, 7, whatever the years were when all the crap hit the fan. Then that's when I started really learning the lessons. I mean, we thought we knew everything about real estate until we didn't know anything, and it was a painful lesson. And you just have to realize, okay, this real estate's not the problem. I'm the problem here, and we got to figure this out and work through all the ugliness. So you can work through it at the beginning, you can work through in the middle, but sometimes you're going to work through it. It's going to happen. So, all right.
Business is it's more of a mental journey than anything. I mean, there's obviously a big physical side to having your energy there, but like really success in business is not so much like an intelligence test. It's more of a mental perseverance test, because you see a lot of high level geniuses, but they can't handle it. They can't grit it out. They don't like how they feel. They don't like the stress. And so like the number one thing I think I see with successful entrepreneurs is, besides their just straight up consistency and work ethic, is their mental resiliency. When bad things happen, they just get past it, move right past it. And they don't have like a lot of focus on it and bounce back time, where they just wait a day or two and they take time off. Whereas people that say they're a landlord, like a tenant moves out or an HVAC goes out, that can mess them up mentally and depress them for weeks sometimes.
Yeah.
Whereas like the people that win, oh, no big deal. They're calling the HVAC company right then, and they're just getting it done in the next minutes, and it's just a task in their day.
Just take care of it. Yeah. And I was talking to somebody yesterday. He said most business owners definitely need a therapist or at least a coach to help them get through the stuff of business. It is just it's a mind game, and it brings up some old icky stuff. And I'm sure everybody has old icky stuff. I just know it's true. It's not just me, that you got to work through.
That's why I like. Yeah. So like I listen to some of y'all have either a support system, meaning you have partners building with you, and it's your job. If you're going to have a partner, husband, wife, or just a general partner, you need to be pumping them up, and they need to be reinforcing you because you're your support cast. But if you don't, you need to find something that can motivate you. So like I had different mentors for different things, online mentors. And so for example, like Brian Tracy would be good for goal setting and efficiencies. But one of the ones I listened to a lot for like mental toughness and motivation was Les Brown. Yeah. So I'm not sure if you guys know who Les Brown is, but like when I was struggling, and like I'd turn on Les Brown tapes, and then like if I'm trying to figure out how the unconscious conscious body mind connection works, I'm going to look into like Bob Proctor and looking at like law of polarities and law of vibration, stuff like that. So find certain people that you can use to help you in certain areas, but you got to find someone that you can put on that can motivate you if you're all alone by yourself trying to build your business because nobody else is around. Find an external person to follow that can help do that for you.
Perfect. I'm going to jump into something we were talking about beforehand. That's the multiple streams of income. How you talked about it was gold. We weren't recording. Sorry, guys. Hopefully he can pull it out just like he did then. But that was really, really good. Go ahead. I'm going to let you go how you were.
So like I had a great life, and I was an online poker player, and I was doing really well. And then that career disappeared. And I went through a very long rediscovery window of my life. And I studied wealth creation a lot. I studied, some of the wealthiest people in the world, Andrew Carnegie's, Vanderbilt's, JP Morgan Chase's. I studied wealth creation, studied the Fed, studied how dollars work. Really looked at people in my local life, how they got there. People when I grew up in high school, when I went to like random parents' houses, like what did they do? And things like that. So I came up with 4 components that I've seen every person for the most part have, that they created their net worth when I talked to them. They had all these components to it, and I put them together into what's called a wealth quadrant. And so quadrant 1 is multiple streams of income. Now, I explain multiple streams of income a little bit differently than most people do, because you hear MSI, and I think people think if I have multiple streams of income, I'm making more money. You're also hearing a lot of these gurus out there saying you need multiple streams of income to increase your income. Multiple streams of income does not increase your income unless they're all profitable. So let's say you had 1 billion income streams on this side. They all make $1 a piece. 1 billion income streams, $1 profit, $1 billion net profit. Then over here, you have a single one income stream that makes $1 billion on its own. So you make $1 billion on one side, $1 billion over here, but the difference is 1 billion income streams versus one income stream. Now, what that's showing you is there's zero relationship to the amount of income streams that you have in your profitability. Let's say you had 50 billion income streams, but they all lose $1 a piece. So what multiple streams of income is for is if you have a single really good income stream, like the $1 billion income stream, and it goes away, you have no other income stream behind it. So if you have one income stream, what happens is you have fear that it goes away, also that it's not going to come in at the same rate, especially depending on the type of business or things that you're doing. It can fluctuate with seasons. So as you have 2 and 3 income streams, what this does, it takes the pressure off. It ensures you, it makes it safer for you, and you have less thought occupation, meaning stressful thoughts go into your income stream if you lose it. So if you have 1 and it goes away, you're in a bad spot. If you have 2 and you lose 1 income stream, you're right back into that 1 income stream, risky, vulnerable position. So I think people should shoot to have 3 income streams as a minimum. That way, if you lose 1, it gives you 2 to still lean on, giving you time to get back to 3, 4, 5, and 6. Yeah. But you should have 1 really good active income stream, which is a time traded income stream, sales job or 9 to 5. And then you should work to build equity models and residual income models around it. Now, the second thing is, second component to the wealth quadrant is duplication. When I was an online poker player, I realized I had a single income stream. When that went away, I was in a very bad spot. I had no other way of creating an income. Also, duplication, meaning we as a center, as the individual, need to not do things on a one-to-one unit relationship, meaning not making a phone call to talk to someone for 15 minutes and having 15 minutes given back, but taking 15 minutes to create a YouTube video and having a duplicatable component around it, meaning thousands of people can watch that video. We were talking before this podcast about poker, online poker, live poker. At a casino, you can play 1 table at a time. On the internet, you can duplicate, meaning 16 tables, 20 tables at a time. So you're looking for ways to leverage yourself, other people's money, other people's time, other people's systems, employees, building a big real estate team like I've done. So you're trying to do something that duplicates outside yourself, like rental properties. Now, the other 2 components is there's 3 ways to create income in business. Number 1 is how most people do, is a time traded or active income. This would be sales, 9 to 5 jobs, wholesaling, flipping houses. You can make $1 million a year, but as soon as your time stops, your income goes away. So you have children, grandchildren, health insurance or health issues, taking care of your parents, something is going to limit your time. So the other 2 ways we create income are equity models and then passive or residual income. And these are the most important ones that create wealth. So equity is the third component of the wealth creation quadrant, which is ownership. So let's say you owned a few stocks and you owned a few rental properties, and then you're driving home and you get hit in a car wreck, and now you're in a coma for 12 months. But while you were in that coma, the markets rose. The markets went up 20%. Now think about what that means. You're sleeping, you have 0 time allocated to grow your net worth because you're not awake, but your net worth is expanding and growing. This is how wealthy people understand how to play with time differently. Now look at what I was talking about with duplication in quadrant 2. Let's say I had 1 rental property versus 20 rental properties, and the real estate market went up 10%. 10% on 1 house versus 10% on 20 houses is 200% versus 10% net growth, even though it's the same 1 market force factor rose the market up 10%. So think about duplication of rental properties, equity appreciation, wealth just happened for you. And this is a big opportunity as this market turns to look for these opportunities. And then the last one is going to be residual income. And the reason why this is the most important passive income is it gives you time and money freedom. So you can make $500,000 a year selling real estate or $500,000 a year owning real estate, like a rental portfolio residually. And the same amount of money every year hits your bank account. $500,000. But what does not hit the same is the time account, meaning on one side, when you're selling real estate, you're still working those 60 to 100-hour weeks every week. Over here, you're sitting on the couch with your kids, going to the beach, starting a nonprofit, doing what you want with your time. So the main thing is to work for residual income, because that's what's going to change your life, and find equity positions at the right timing to get into them. Now, also be aware, equity can go down. So you have to be a little bit more savvy as an investor. But that's kind of how I came across the wealth quadrant, or how I created that. So you see that taught all around the country now. But if you can have multiple streams of income to ensure your income, create a leverage side of your business that can duplicate without yourself involved, and you start acquiring equity positions over time, they'll expand. And then if you can build your residual income, eventually you'll have your time freedom and your income, which leaves you have income and time. Now you can go start those extra income streams, build more businesses, and do things that you've always wanted to do.
I love it. That, you guys, was gold. Play that again. Listen to it again. We're going to have snippet reels on that one. You can just play it over and over again, because that is gold.
Awesome. Glad you like it.
I loved it. Loved it.
It's true. When you really look at wealthy people, you'll see that they do all this. They're in ownership positions. Their mindset's on residual income, and you never see them doing things one-to-one. They're not out there driving to show people a property. They're in the office coordinating the agents going out there and doing things. So start thinking of what you're doing in your business and apply it to those 4 components, and see maybe if you can see a spot that you want to adjust things or shift things going forward.
Doctors, lawyers, we do things one-on-one, and it is not the long term. It's not
poker players. Poker players.
Unless you're online. Then he's like, so
unless you're online, that's right.
this is
still you have the, still you
it's
lose
still
the
time. It's
duplication
still your
because
time. That's right.
you say like a tennis player or someone like, so like an athlete, you still have performance issues because what if you're sick? What if you
Yeah.
just had your girlfriend of 4 years break up, like, or you're married and you had divorce? What if you lost a family member in a car wreck? So like, there's no supporting cast around you. So like, if you have one of these major life issues and you're running a business with employees or you run a team of agents, they can
They're
step
taking up
up
for you.
and fill in the
That's right.
fill in the gaps. But if
That's
you're a
right.
single, it's just you and only you can't conquer the world on your own. There's people win in with teams and packs, like my Wolfpack brand here. They don't win individually. So I know there's like this big push for like solopreneurs and the sit on the beach in the hammock with your computer and you need a supporting cast guide. You can make big money with e-businesses, but what you don't see behind the scenes is it looks like there's a single person. They've got staff, they got virtual assistants, they've got third-party businesses that they've aligned with that bring parts of their business to them. There's no solopreneurs, guys. There's only entrepreneurs.
Yeah. No. I really,
it's
really
crazy.
like that.
People think that they're going to just work by themselves and have this great life.
Yes. Then no, it's not happening. It just doesn't. Tell us what you talked about your brand, your wolf pack. I'm going to screw it up. Tell us what's going on.
Wolfpack organization.
Okay.
So this is a good kind of topic here. So like, as you guys are going through your journey in business, just know that just do the best you can every day and forward think along the goals that you're focusing on. But the cool thing about being in business for a window of time, like 5, 10, 15 years, is skill sets that you pick up going through one door, open other doors and open relationships. And you would never experience things that you could have thought when you started your journey. So I started as a poker player, turned into an insurance agent, which led me to real estate as an investor, which led me to getting on social media as a social media YouTuber, which led me to getting in front of people that wanted me to get my real estate license to join this global or to grow global brokerage. So I was getting my YouTube channel up, and I'm an investor, but a lot of investors are also agents. And so a lot of agents were watching my channel and they knew I had a big following. And so they started reaching out to me about eXp Realty. So if you're not familiar with eXp Realty, it's a cloud-based brokerage that is the fastest growing brokerage in real estate history. We have about close to 90,000 agents in our company. And I joined the company as 2018 started with about 6,000 agents. And we went from 6,000 to 16,000, then 26,000, like 41, 42, then to 71. And now we're at almost 90,000 agents. Now it has a growth model to it that has similar to like how network marketing companies grow. I don't think a lot of people realize a lot of big brokerages in the real estate space and insurance space grow this way. So some of you guys know, like in the insurance space, like Ed Milet, he grew a team through WFG. Some of you guys follow Valuetainment with Patrick Bet-David. He built a big override tiered residual income insurance model. Keller Williams in the brokerage space is a 7-tier override brokerage. They have a 7-level profit sharing system. And our founder was actually a top 50 Keller Williams agent. And he split off from Keller Williams. He was a tech guy. His name's Glenn Sanford, a really cool guy. So he had a tech background. He worked part of his career, I think, at AOL. He was going into the 2008 financial crash. And what happened was brokers were going out of business left and right. He decided to take his tech-based background and create a cloud-based brokerage to eliminate the cost of brick and mortar and the overhead expenses of the traditional franchising model. And he's going to grow it through a similar way that Keller Williams grew with a 7-level revenue sharing model. So I was kind of the bottom floor of this company and I started growing this team. So my first year, I recruited about 40 people. We ended up with over 150 agents in the team. Second year, we over doubled to 300. Third year, we over doubled to 600. My fourth year at eXp, we added over 1,000 agents, I think it was roughly, and went from like 600 to 1,600.
How are you doing? How are you increasing like that? I'm sorry. How are you increasing? Because you said 2018. So then 2019, you had the whole 2 years right there. Then 2020, when you weren't able to go out and talk to people and pull them in. How are you building that?
Yeah. So the cool thing about eXp is the elimination of brick and mortar buildings. So we don't have offices. We operate through a virtual metaverse system. So there's a virtual building in the sky essentially, and there's 2,000 paid employees, $100 million employee force that works in there. So we all work from home. There's no brick and mortar offices. It's the elimination of hundreds, thousands of offices, bringing all that money back in house. This is why businesses are going under, is they can't pay the lease. They can't keep the lights on. They can't staff the offices. So he decided, let's bring all this money in house and then get rid of the offices. And then let's pay the agents a lot of money to grow the company. So you created this powerful growth model. And there are people making 5, 6, multiple 6, and some people close to 7 figures monthly in residual incomes at this company. So for example, this month is tracking substantially to be over 6 figures in net residual income for me, whether I sell a house or not. And so the way that grew out was we have a 7-level override model. So tier 1 is going to be the tier that you build yourself. So if you've ever been in a growth model like this, your business has to start with your own efforts. So tier 1 is your own growth efforts. But then we have a 7-tier compensation model, just like Keller Williams. Both companies have this. Now, when I sponsor agents, let's say I sponsor Felicia. She's on my first tier. And she's like, wow, I like the idea that you can build residual income. So she's on my first tier. She has the right to go build her own business. So if she starts sponsoring agents, she'll have her own 7-tier override model, but she's on my first tier in my business. So her incoming agents will come into the 2nd tier of my business. And then let's say those agents start sponsoring agents, they build their own businesses, they'll come into the 3rd tier. If you have agents on your 3rd tier and they build their own business and start sponsoring agents, they come into the 4th tier. Now what happens is I sponsored 40 people my first year. So 40 people on tier 1. They went out there to their friends, their family, people they knew through social media, agents in the marketplace. And some of them started sponsoring agents that came into my 2nd tier. Then some of those agents started sponsoring agents. And over time, what happens is the business model grows and everybody in the system. So right now I have 2,800 agents that if they go out there and sponsor agents, they come somewhere into my 7-tier structure.
Gotcha.
So it's the duplication side of what we were talking about, which is I started the Catalyst with my own efforts to get it up to a duplicatable size. I train people behind the scenes on the Wolfpack system, which we train them on social media, investing, mindset, personal education, time management, like all sorts of stuff. So we train them and then teach them how to build the businesses. So kind of I built a system and then I'm teaching the system to other brokers and team leaders and rockstar agents in different countries. And they're reduplicating the Wolfpack system. Now, what the Wolfpack stands for is global family. So what do wolves do? They run together and win together as a family, as a pack, not as an individual lone wolf, which is what we were just talking about, which is solopreneur versus entrepreneur. So the Wolfpack is symbology for global family in the organization that we're growing. And it symbolizes that we're doing all these trainings and mastermind calls together. So we do a lot for our partners, which if you guys want to reach out to me, I'll hop on Zoom with you and show you kind of what we do behind the scenes. But that's what the Wolfpack's for. It's a global real estate team through the brokerage eXp Realty.
Gotcha. So many of the listeners are actually either W-2 physicians or have their own practice, that kind of thing. Mm-hmm. So I don't know that any of them personally are going to go and do this. However, many have spouses who are home doing the things that they do. And maybe you're talking about, I'm bored a little bit. The kids are grown. I'd like to be doing something else. Neither one of us are accountants or tax advisors or anything like that. However, maybe, and if I ask you this, if I ask this question and you're like, I have no idea, you'll say it. How are taxes handled for real estate professionals? Let's just ask it that way.
Yeah, it depends on how you set it up. Like a lot of people have set it up to what's called an S Corp, which can allow them benefits to get down, but its taxes just regular income. So a lot of agents get themselves in kind of trouble with it. So I would recommend sitting down with like a CPA. They'll give you a basic structure. So I'm not really like a CPA type of person, but I would look into what's called an S Corp. To go back to like your question about like doctors and things like that. What's pretty cool is like, this is kind of crazy. So like I have a really good guy. His name's Dr. Brad Williams. He was my dentist since I'm 4. I'm about to turn 39. He actually got it. So as he was getting to retirement age, he actually decided to get into real estate. He got his license and now he actually is on my team. I've seen a lot of doctors and attorneys and people get licenses, not so much because they want to be a full-time agent, but they understand the power of having a license gives them the ability to catch the fish when they're there without having holes in the net. And so I have a video on my YouTube channel somewhere where we're talking about a golf bag, meaning inside that golf bag, you're going to have a driver and a putter, which you're going to play with the most. These would be your main income streams. This would be like if you're a doctor, but then you're going to have in there, like, I don't even know, probably don't kill me if you play golf, but like 7 to 9 more clubs, right? And you're going to have your wedges. You're going to have 3 woods. You're going to have a sand wedge. So what happens when the ball lands in the sandbox? Hopefully not a lot. You need a special club. So that'd be like, let's say you're a doctor and you're going out to networking events and all of a sudden you're at a party and some friends are there and one of them's like, I need to sell my house. Well, that extra club would have been a real estate license. So when the ball lands in the sandbox, if you don't already have your club there in the bag, you can't hit that shot. It could be a 15 to 30K commission. So I'm a big believer in filling the golf club bag of life up early on so that future opportunities you don't have like a net where the fish can swim through it. So I think people should all have a more a mortgage license, an insurance license, a real estate license. They're very simple to get. Like an insurance license, I think I got mine when I did it like years ago in like a week. Most real estate licenses are 40 to 90 hours to get. So you can do it in like 1 month of going back to college or high school. Now, especially for like doctors and attorneys, think about when you buy a house. Think if you guys buy some pretty nice houses, let's be honest, doctors have some money. My uncle's a doctor. I see his house. You can avoid the commission. So let's say you buy $1 million house. That's a $30K commission you're avoiding on the front end. Let's say that you go to sell that house after you live in it for a year and you realize you don't want it. You're avoiding that $30K commission on the back end. So I see a lot of people get licenses, not just real estate, but just as a way to just be there in the background. They're not waking up saying, today I'm going to go out there and try to sell real estate. They have it there to capture opportunities and build relationships and benefit them in certain ways. So you may have a lot of people that are interested in that. And if you guys are interested in that, still reach out to me.
That's very interesting. Cool.
Yeah. And then like one last thing is like, I have a lot of people, I train my agents to be entrepreneurs, not to be salespeople. So like I put them through pretty extensive training. I used to charge a lot of money to go through it. So some people would, like how I went through like one of those rip-off gurus that charged me almost $50K. They should charge me like $1,000 literally. But the things that I'd be teaching are very expensive. Like if you were to hire me as a consultant, but I don't do like one-on-one training for entrepreneurs or anything like that. So what a lot of people do is they get their license just to actually come through my coaching and training system, because that's the prerequisite. You don't pay me anything, pay EXP, my brokerage, $85 a month to be a part of the brokerage, but I'm giving out probably 50 to 100K, depending on how you want to measure it, equivalent of education. So some people go spend a few months, pay $1,000 to get a license, and that's their kind of expense to get into my training system. If that kind of makes sense, instead of wanting to even be an agent, they're really looking at that as their barrier entry to work with me, because I have a lot of people reach out from social media and I'm doing so many things. I just can't slow down to teach people anymore one-on-one. So that's the only way. If you guys are wondering how to get taught by me, it's about $1,000 a year to hold your license at EXP. And if you move it over, I'll tell you how I can consult you and help you with your business and things like that.
Perfect. So a little bit deeper into how people can reach you. Now that we've teach them what they want to reach you for.
So I have a YouTube channel called Investor Army. I haven't been too active on it. That's if you want to learn the investment business. Now there's 300 or 400 videos on there. I would start with the oldest videos first. And if you guys go to YouTube channels, always go back and watch the oldest videos and watch them going forward. And the reason why is because if you think about how people start a YouTube channel, they're putting their best stuff out first because they're trying to build a following, not putting their worst stuff out and then say, well, then after people watch my bad stuff, I'll put my good stuff out. So usually people put their best stuff out on the beginning of their channel. So if you want to watch that, that's my Investor Army channel. I started a new YouTube channel called Steinbrook, which is my personal name. This is more on business and entrepreneurship. So if you're just if you're a doctor running your practice, or if you're running an e-business or affiliates, that's where you're going to go watch my new channel. I launched that like 9 months ago. It's just now gaining traction. I'd be grateful if you'd help me watch and subscribe and get up. And then Instagram is where you can reach out to me. So I never did a lot on Instagram until about a year ago, and I started getting active on there. That's the best place to send me a DM, or you can text me directly. I'll give you my number, 469-855-6963. So 469-855-6963. But
we'll have it in the show notes if you're driving. If you're driving and you missed it, or you've got the baby and whatever, it'll be in the show notes. Go ahead. Sorry.
I tell people to do that. Guys, email is not the best way to reach people these days because they get skipped. And busy people like myself, I don't get a chance to check all my emails. And then also from your side, you think, let's say you email a busy person like me or Felicia, you're thinking we saw your email and didn't open it up or didn't respond to you. And you can get into your own head when you're reaching out to more successful people than you, because I did that in the past. I thought they're blowing me off. They literally didn't see it.
Didn't see your email.
So yeah, they didn't see it. So if you guys have reached out to people and they didn't get back, try reaching out again. Some of my most important partners, it took me reaching out to them 5-6 times. People are busy. They're not blowing you off. You're going to have to reach hard to get into a busy person's time.
Yeah.
And the last thing you tell them is you're going to make them money. What you want to tell them is, hey, Felicia, if you let me into your life in some way, I'm going to take a lot of stress and time off your plate. She's already got money. She's a successful entrepreneur. So you're not going to go to someone worth millions and say, I want to add another million on top of all your millions. But what you can do is say, I'm going to give you a better quality of life. So when I got my first mentor, he ran an REI club. I offered to run the REI club for him and work at the front desk, check people in, and do just an annoying tasks that I knew was stressful for this person, that the money, like he didn't need the money. He needed reduction of stress and reduction of time. And that's how I got into some of my relationships with high-level entrepreneurs. Whereas if I said, hey, I'm going to make you a bunch of money, he'd be like, that's what the last 50 people told me.
Yeah.
Whereas if I want to work for you for free and take a bunch of stress off your plate and time off your plate, that's how you guys get in proximity with who could be your biggest mentor in your life. So just think about that. So I tell people I made more working for free. I made millions of dollars by working for free for years for people. That's where I really got. And what happened was my mentors, they want to help people coming up. And also they started connecting me to other people in the marketplace, and they created a lot of warm reach outs, and a lot of business opportunities came from it. So start thinking how you can get into proximity with busy, successful people in your market like that.
Perfect. All of Connor's contact information will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for being here. This was really good. Really good. Really appreciate it. Some good stuff. I love the Wolfpack. I love the Wealth Quadrant. Love it all. Thank you so much. Yeah. You guys, check out Connor. Check out his YouTube. DM him. Be persistent. If he can help you, you can help him. You know you can. You know there's things that people need. So until next time, enjoy.
Awesome. You guys have a great day.
Perfect.
You've been listening to Money with Mission. There are projects happening right now where you can have a great financial return while positively affecting the lives of others. To learn more about our opportunities, go to moneywithmission.com.